Good afternoon, I'm Holly and you're watching Kalkine TV. This is the Economic Corner, where we update you on all the biggest global economic announcements. First up on the Economic Corner is a surprise that's just come in from New Zealand's central bank. The bank announced a halt of its pandemic-induced $70 billion bond purchase program. The announcement sent the Kiwi dollar soaring, with markets taking it as a sign of a rate hike. The Reserve Bank of New Zealand kept its official cash rate at 0.25% as widely expected. Chief economist at ANZ Bank Sharon Zollner believes that the RBNZ has absolutely done enough hand-waving today to tick the market prep box for the August hike, with consumer price index and the labour market data set to do the rest. The move comes after US inflation data rose by the most in 13 years in June. RBNZ slashed its interest rates to record lows in March last year and pumped billions of dollars in stimulus. On the other hand, COVID-19 pandemic raged through the country and the globe. New Zealand, however, managed to contain the spread of the virus relatively well, with the last community case of COVID-19 reported in February. This allowed the economy to bounce back faster than most others. At its meeting in May, the Reserve Bank of New Zealand hinted at a hike in September of next year, although Governor Adrian Orr has insisted that the bank will only consider tightening policy after its inflation and employment targets are sustainably met. On the other hand, the RBA said that it did not expect a rate rise before 2024. And onto the consumer sentiment data released by the Westpac-Melbourne Institute Index of Consumer Sentiment. Consumer sentiment rose by 1.5% to 108.8 in July, from 107.2 in June. The survey was conducted over the week of July 5th to July 9th during the lockdown in Sydney and restriction in New South Wales. As per the survey results, confidence has held up overall despite a sharp fall in New South Wales. Other states, notably Victoria and WA, recorded strong bounce backs from COVID-related disruptions in June. The main takeaway is that concerns around the current virus outbreak and associated restrictions in New South Wales are not spilling over to the rest of the country. And on that note, it is time for a short break, but on the other side of the break, we'll give you updates on the impact of COVID-19 on international travel.
New Zealand is unique, and Kalkine TV is here to bring you all the latest news and trending market updates. Streaming across multiple platforms, so no matter where you are, whether it be at the beach or on the farm, you can count on the team here at Kalkine TV to be your home for accessing the latest valuable insights into global issues that are affecting New Zealanders. Subscribe to our channels across YouTube, Facebook, also visit kalkine.co.nz.
Welcome back from the break. I'm Holly and you're watching the Economic Corner. Now on over to New Zealand's international travel data released for May of this year. From January, governments had imposed international travel restrictions in multiple countries last year due to the spread of COVID-19 around the world. In March of 2020, the New Zealand government introduced further measures by effectively limiting travel to New Zealand. Two-way quarantine-free travel opened with Australia on the 19th of April in 2021 and with the Cook Islands on the 17th of May. Since then, there have been occasional travel restrictions affecting the travel with selected Australian states and territories. In May, the number of overseas visitor arrivals was at 138,000, which was down by 3 million. The biggest changes in arrivals were from Australia, the US, China, and the UK. Next up is the US Consumer Price Index data. The pace of US consumer price increases accelerated unexpectedly in June, as the index rose last month at the fastest pace since August of 2008. It was up 5.4% from the previous year. On a monthly basis, data released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics showed price gains of 0.9%, which is the biggest one-month jump since June of 2008. Core US CPI rose to 4.5% in June from 3.8% in May. Price jumps have been most significant in sectors directly affected by the pandemic. Travel-related expenses like airfares have soared, while a semiconductor shortage has contributed to a jump in the price of used cars. 1/3 of the rise in CPI last month stemmed from a record jump in previously owned vehicle prices. They rose 10.5% in June from the previous month. Well, those were some important data announcements, and it is time for another short break. But stay tuned, I'll be right back in a moment with the latest data coming in from the US Secretary of State.
Tune in to get the latest information.
Whether it's about market movements or the currency graph,
Sectoral coverage or industry news.
we cover it all on our news segments.
Be on top of the latest news
With Kalkine TV. Welcome back, I'm Holly and you're watching the Economic Corner. Moving on to an important announcement from the State Department spokesman Ned Price. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken will stress the central regional role of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations in a virtual meeting with the bloc's foreign ministers on Tuesday. The meeting with the 10-member bloc will be the first since the Biden administration took office in January. It comes amid concerns among diplomats and others that Washington has not been paying sufficient attention to a region that is crucial to its regional strategy to counter an increasingly powerful China. Earlier this month, the White House coordinator for the Indo-Pacific region, Kurt Campbell, said the US has been missing in action in many respects in the Pacific region. The US hosted a meeting in March with the Quad group of countries, that is Japan, Australia, India and the US. The Quad agreed that the Indian drug maker Biological Limited would produce at least 1 billion vaccine doses by the end of 2022, mainly for the Southeast Asian and Pacific countries. However, India, the world's largest vaccine producer, was subsequently hit by a catastrophic wave of infections, which halted vaccine exports. And lastly, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell is scheduled to deliver the central bank's semi-annual report to Congress on the state of the US's economy today. Details on the Fed's thinking on employment, inflation, and its plans to pare back bond purchases and ultra-low interest rates will be the key highlights. So stick with us and don't miss it. All will be revealed on Kalkine TV. And that is just about all from the Economic Corner for now, but keep watching for the latest market news and live updates. Holly Shields signing off.